FuturePlay, something really exciting that's cooking on stage for you. This is going to be a dynamic conversation on the future of gaming, animation, and VFX, a field that continues to captivate audiences globally and drive significant industry growth. We're going to explore how industries are transforming in response to rapidly evolving technologies and also creative innovation. That's the conversation that we've been having through the day. And we have an illustrious panel of speakers joining us for this panel discussion. We know at least some of you are a bit hungry, but I'm telling you, this session is going to be worth it if you delay your lunch a bit. Listen to all the exciting things that's happening in our industry and then go for your food. All right, I'd like to bring on stage first our moderator. He's a seasoned creative industries professional with more than 28 years of experience, and he's the country head of World Design Council UK, Mr. Philip Thomas. Can we have you on stage first, sir? Welcome. I'd like you to come on stage and welcome our panel of speakers on stage. Yes, thank you. Welcome, sir. It's my privilege to bring on stage three panelists, starting with the founder of Punnaryug Artvision, a pioneer in India's AVGC-XR industry, somebody who does not need any introduction, Mr. Ashish Kulkarni. I can't even begin to say how proud we are to be hosting him on this stage. Welcome, sir. Joining him here is the Chief Executive Officer of Toonz Media Group, Mr. Jayakumar P., a prominent leader in the media and entertainment industry. He started as a CFO with Toonz Animation and went on to become the CEO in 2003, has been leading the strategic vision of Toonz ever since. Also being joined by Mr. Manvendra Shukul, a pioneer in the Indian gaming industry. Hearty welcome, sir, someone who has more than 28 years of experience in video game art and animation. Founder and CEO of Lakshya Digital. Over to you, Mr. Philip Thomas.
Hi, good afternoon. I think all of you will be feeling hungry. We'll try to make it quick. First of all, I should thank with Jain University for setting a special track for creative industry and creative sector, and that too including AVGC as a sector in this today's session. I am playing the role of a moderator for the first time, so forgive me if anything goes wrong. Alagappan put me in this position, and I'm in the midst of stalwarts of the AVGC industry with almost 3 decades of experience each of them have. But students, I think most of you are students, right? Most of you are students? Students? Yeah, so most of the questions has been crafted in a student's perspective. So I'll start with, without much delay, I'll start with Sri Jayakumar. We call him fondly JK, the iconic company from Kerala on the creative side. We can proudly say it's a Toonz Animation, and Toonz Animation is celebrating its 25th anniversary this year. So Toonz is always, whenever we ask creative industry, we look forward to Toonz. So I will start with JK. JK, you should explain the journey of Toonz for the last 25 years and what are the major trends should students be prepared for the next 5 to 10 years, because there's a lot of change happening.
So it all started actually with an entrepreneur from here, Cochin, Mr. G. M. Menon. He actually left India in 1978, that time, because when he was second in command at IBM. And IBM was thrown out during the 77 regime. And then he joined another electronics. He started actually an electronics business at age of 52, his entrepreneurship journey. So he was living in US, and he told the story that, he actually read an article in Los Angeles Times, which talks about the animation business is more and more going outside of US and going to Asian countries. And the Asian countries becoming the next destination for animation. So this was the article he has seen. The entrepreneurial mind in him suddenly thought, he can actually, he wanted to get into that side, and he identified a gentleman from Walt Disney, Mr. Bill Dennis, to start a business, animation business. And they scouted almost all Asian countries, and then finally zeroed on to Technopark in Trivandrum. And I'm pretty sure that there is a vested interest in Mr. Menon's mind, to have something to start in Kerala. That is how it all started. My background is I'm a chartered accountant by profession. So I joined as the CFO in the group. I was the only one Indian in the whole management team. All of the other people were foreigners, including our CEO, and our studio manager was from Hanna-Barbera Studios, those days Asia's largest studio. So we put together a team of international experts and started the business. Starting the business was easy. We were funded by a Swiss family with a lot of backing. But then we suddenly realized that our biggest challenge is talent. There was absolutely zero talent in India at that particular point in time. 80% of our staff those days were all people from other states. We have 10-20% of people, which again we started training. Those days it was very, very, very difficult. We brought in a lot of people from Philippines, Korea, US, Australia to train the people to international production values. And then we started our own training institute. I think if I reflect back today, what we really did very well, even though it was very expensive and probably not easy thing for our shareholders, was spending millions of dollars on training. So today we are surviving after 25 years in a very difficult industry. It is primarily because of the training we kind of imparted to the people. Today our staff members are on a reverse ratio. We have 80% of people from Kerala and 20% from other states. It is because we started, and then we started our own training academy to basically feed our kind of people. So one is talent, and then it was also very difficult at that particular point in time in India. There was no studio, and very difficult was at Trivandrum. Nobody even heard about it. Luckily, we got Cartoon Network as the first client, and then from that point onwards, we never had to look back. We work with almost all the Fortune 100 entertainment companies in the world, whether it is all 5 major studios in America, BBC, France Television, Rai TV in Italy, Television Española in Spain, CCTV in China, almost all major territories you can talk about, they are our customers. So this is all we started from Trivandrum. We also expanded internationally. We bought our first studio in Spain, then we bought another studio in Ireland. We established our own centers in Turkey as well as in New Zealand. We have now 11 global offices. So this is in a nutshell. Because of the time, I don't want to elaborate. But what I'm saying is that this all started from Trivandrum. Okay, at a time, there was no industry in the country. There was nobody to learn from. This is all we, kind of learned and learned from mistakes. And we are very proud that, we survived this, and early days, all of our fellow panelists can say, was very, very difficult. There was no government support. There was no visibility. It is a totally entrepreneurial strength. All of these studios, especially those days, survive. And today, we have very, very good government policies to support, and a lot of those kind of stuff. It was not there. So, but one thing which we were very, very clear that we basically wanted to focus on the artistic part of, right? So I would say, when you really talk about the Future Summit, today is the world of AI and machine learning and all that. And this is going to definitely disrupt our industries. I heard an anecdote very recently. It was very thought-provoking. The telephone industry, we all know, right? Telephone, it started around 75 years back. It has taken 75 years to get 75 million subscribers. ChatGPT got 75 million subscribers in 3 weeks. That is the difference we are talking about. The people who are sitting today will be probably working, when you're really ready for work, you will be probably working on titles which is probably doesn't exist today. Have you ever heard about a title called prompt engineer 3 years back? Today, you can basically get $200,000 to $300,000 if you are very strong in prompt engineer. That is the change we are talking about. In the past, the change was every 3 years in our kind of thing. Today we were actually talking. We don't know when the next change coming in any moment. That is the kind of thing. So, but you need to really basically focus on your fundamentals, but then adapt the technology, which I think will take you to the future.
Thank you, JK. Next, we'll go to Manvendra ji. He is the CEO of Lakshya Digital, which is one of the largest game development service company based out of India with global presence. So I would request Manvendra ji to again to explain the journey of Lakshya Digital, because when we discuss about future, we should also know what happened in the past and the present before going to the future. And also would like to understand what skills do you see as essential for students waiting to enter to the gaming industry.
Thank you. Just like Jayakumar said, that when I came into gaming in '96, and then there was nothing called gaming. Video games didn't exist in India, and that's how we started, with just a passion because we were playing games, so we just wanted to make games. So that's how it all started, and since then, I've gone through different rounds of trying to figure out what this gaming industry is, and I think one of the most important things is if you're passionate about something, you cannot give up. Because that's what really makes you a true professional in whatever space you decide to be in. And that's exactly what happened with us also. The Lakshya I started in 2004, which is we just celebrated 20 years last year. And the basic struggles were the same as what happened in the animation industry. When we started, there was no talent. And the story, which is the Lakshya story, is very similar to the Toonz story. We had no talent, so now if we had to grow, we had to do things, we had to make a name for ourselves, we had to create talent. So same thing, as a starting point, we got experienced animation directors, art directors from US who came here, stayed with our team that we created, initial team that we created, and they trained them, and that's how we learned how to make video games. And then that wasn't enough, because you have to create talent if you really want to grow and take on bigger and larger challenges. So we opened our own academy. It's called In-Game. And that again is almost 12 or 13 years old now. The purpose was the same, because we were working at the highest level of quality globally. Because if you look at today, in today's date, any year, you look at the top 50 games of the year globally, Lakshya would have worked on at least 25, 30 of them, if not more. Now, for that to happen, the talent you have needs to understand those levels of quality, needs to be able to deliver at those levels. And India is not exactly a big game playing country. And if you don't play games, you don't understand what is it that you have to achieve in this domain. So that in-game academy that we have is that's what it does. Because we understand what quality benchmarks we have to achieve. So all the trainings that we do there, it is a non-profit organization. We don't, that's not a business. That's just a means of creating talent for ourselves and for the industry. So that's how the journey has been for us, creating talent and then making sure that we deliver great projects globally. And we don't make our own games. We are a services company. So if you look at the top 50 game developers and publishers, at least 35, 40, if not more, would be our clients. So we make games for them. We make art and animation and VFX and all these things for them. So we started with 6 people. Today we are almost 1,200 across 6 countries. And the basic focus has always been how to make sure that commitments that we take on, we deliver on those commitments and deliver on the promises that we make to the clients. Because at the end of it, it is not just Lakshya that we are representing. We are also representing India. Because when we started, India did not have a game industry. So anything that happens out of India, whatever experience our clients get by working from India, with India, that's the impression they'll form about India. So the responsibility that we had was twofold at that time. Because we were representing in India when there was nothing called game industry in India. So when we started with one client, and the first client was in 2005. So first 1 year we just prepared ourselves for delivering on quality. Since then, today we have like hundreds of clients, so that's a different matter. But the main thing is that every client we took on, it was our responsibility to make sure that they go away with the experience and the feeling that, yes, India can deliver quality. Because it's not Lakshya. Because the moment Lakshya does something which is not right or something which is not up to the standards, the first impression people will have is, there's no point going to India. You don't get good quality there. So we had to fight that, make sure that we don't create those mindsets and impressions. So we have been working towards making sure that we represent India, number one. Number two, we represent quality. Both these things, quality is always a given. Nobody expects, just because you are going to a country which is not that, I would say, experienced in that particular industry, doesn't mean any developer will compromise on quality. Quality is something nobody compromises on. They just try and figure other things out. So one of the key things about our journey for the last 20 years has been that never compromise on quality, never compromise on communication. Because as somebody, as a partner to a developer or a publisher, what is most important for them is communication. And that is something we have always strived to excel at, because quality and communication makes you a complete partner, makes you a dependable and reliable partner. Yes, you also have to make sure that internally you are benchmarking people at the highest level. Because when internally you try and create talent, that talent needs to understand what the benchmarks are that they have to achieve. Most of the times, the problem happens when, as an artist, as a creator, we don't understand what is the benchmark I'll be judged against. A lot of times, we just look at people around us and I feel, okay, I'm better than him or her. But we don't realize that I have to be better than everything else that's happening out there. And that is a benchmark that becomes a responsibility of the organization to create and make sure people understand that. I think that's where we have been so successful, because we realize that besides everything else, we have to make sure everybody in our team understands what is the benchmark that we have to follow, we have to live up to, and make sure that the clients understand that we understand that benchmark. I think that's the most important thing, because clients are 10,000 miles away. They don't know what's happening. The only thing they see is what is the work coming out of their studio. Do they understand our requirements? Do they understand what we expect from them? Now, all these things are, I think, anybody who's working on any project, not just global project, even a project that I make for, or we make for a domestic audience, that should represent the same levels of quality. And again, it's a mindset that if we are working for products outside, we are always conscious of the quality. And somehow I've seen that if we are working for a domestic product, we don't necessarily have the same mindset of achieving something. That is something we have to make sure that we don't fall for, and we make sure that there is only a single benchmark of quality we need to excel at. I think that's what has been the journey for Lakshya, and that's the reason why we have reached where we have reached, because we always made sure that we define quality and make sure we reach there.
Next, we will go to Sri Ashish Kulkarni. Ashish ji is the driving force of AVGC sector. He's the one who coined the word AVGC. But before going to the policy side of questions, since we don't have a representative from VFX industry, I would request Ashish ji to tell us a little bit about how the VFX industry evolved in India and how we have gone global and what the kind of challenges we are facing today.
Well, actually the VFX was started by a gentleman called V. Shantaram, a long-time filmmaker. Used to make black and white films, and there used to be few VFX, few shots which were very uniquely done, and that's when the visual effects really started. But it actually took off maybe around with the tech that we have somewhere around 2 decades ago. And there used to be a time when the filmmakers used to come and shoot the film and come to some of the VFX studios and tell them, iska kuch kar do, isko enhance kar do, isme patti dal do, isme badal dal do. So this is how it all started. So that, it was just an afterthought. And that's when the orientation happened with many of the Indian filmmakers. And we started actually having a time when they wanted VFX, but they never budgeted for VFX. So they used to shoot the film, and in between the shoot, they used to come and say, can we have a package of, 2 crore, 50 lakhs, 3 crore, and in package you should do everything and give it to us. And the VFX studios, fell for that, and actually they did amazing job, but they never got all their monies back. But then came an era when people realized that these are big VFX movies which came from Hollywood, started making an impact on the Indian population and the viewers. And they realized that there's something that needs to be, done with a plan. And in the last 2 decades, I'm happy that the AVGC-XR companies worked very closely with the producers and directors, and at the same time, internationally, people realize that, when you have animation skills and gaming skills in India, the visual effects is a natural adaptation that, goes from animation, whereby the people and the studios will be able to actually give you a whole lot of, things. And it started in a very small way. Initially, a lot of studios started doing roto work, the wire removals and everything. But subsequent to that, we developed something called as the visual effects supervisor in last 2 years, last 2 decades. And then earlier it used to be only director and director's call. Then came in the director and the cinematographer, who is called DOP also in some places. It's called director of photography. Both of them took most of the calls, and then emerged a third person and became a triangle with an art director who is to actually look at designing in pre-production the look and feel of the film and the color keys and everything. And then it was a triangle in which three of them used to make all decisions for the film. And then came the supervisor, and today we are talking about quad. And today there are like four important people while you make a film, that you also have a visual effects director. And today the situation is that all visual effects movies do extremely well in the box office. Uh, the visual effects get planned way in advance when the script is written. So most of the visual effects directors are a part of the scripting process, and that's how the visualization happens. They are probably the people who are handling right from ideation to script to screen. They are actually part of the journey right now. And the best visual effects are the ones that the audience are never able to identify that these shots have gone through visual effects. And this has all been done in visual effects, that if the audience are able to identify that this has been done in visual effects, that means you have done a bad job. Of course, I think session next one, you're going to see some amazing visual effects from Phantom Effects. They do a fabulous work. But today the situation is that India has emerged to be one of the biggest visual effects hub in the world. All international studios who are in visual effects, they have to be in India, because without the Indian touch, you will not be able to complete the film, is what we say in visual effects today. And let me tell you, whether it's a theatrical film or a web series or a television series or an ad film or a documentary film or a corporate film, all of them today requires visual effects. So visual effects has become an integral part of the filmmaking and the storytelling as a process. And to give you an example, uh, the topmost studios in the world, they all have to, in the last 10 years, they made sure that every single film that happens has an Indian hand into it. And you have studios like Technicolor, Deluxe, and all. They are internationally known as two biggest studios, giving services to the top six studios in the world. But the issue is today, whether there are Japanese films or Chinese films or Korean films or even the European or American films or UK films, they are all actually finding their way to India. And the there are multiple studios in visual effects. They work on different shots. And there are specialized studios who work on animals, creatures, what they call it. There are specialized studios who work on, uh, the water effects or dust effects or storms or blast. So there are specializations that have come up. And they have been a part of the process. And the Industrial Light and Magic, who, the people known for Star Wars, have opened their studios in Mumbai recently. We have Digital Domain, which came to Hyderabad. We also have the Legion Studios. We also have recently the Frame Store from UK came into India, and they scaled to about 1,000 people in just about 2.5 years' time. And I was talking to some of these directors, and they say that it's inevitable for any visual effects company today in the world not to have their footprint in India, like what they're doing in gaming also. Because India is the only country where you can scale to about 500,000 people in 2 years' time. There's no other country where you can actually scale to that much. So while there is a challenge on the skilling side and the education side, but the demand itself is really, really high.
So the good news is the future looks very bright for animation, visual effects, gaming industry, right?
Absolutely. I think it's a no-brainer that these things are going to happen. But if you talk about the future, I must warn you that AI is going to play a very major role. So AI has to be an integral part of your production process and your thinking process. So not that everything would be done through AI, but then you should use AI very effectively in terms of what you plan for your movies and what you plan for your storytelling, because you can do it faster. And the reason why, like I think a lot of course people asking whether they will lose jobs and all. I think it's not about losing jobs. It's about how to create a great quality, because what you're talking about today, at one point in time you were amazed by HD, then we are amazed by 2K, then we are amazed by 4K, and the last Olympics was shown in 8K in streaming, and we have concerts, and the new FIFA is going to happen in 16K, and it's going to stream in 16K. So the demand for quality and the visual effects is going to be on rise. And I must give you an example. When people used to say 1 crore, 2 crore, then came an era where they will say, okay, 3% or 5% of the movie budget would be used in visual effects. Today, the movies are planned with 35% of the budget into visual effects. And that's a big thing. So I think it's a no-brainer that you need to really create everything. And mind you, the future, when you talk about, there is also the way you shoot. The visual effects is going to actually go further down into creating of sets, into virtual production, because people don't have time. People can't get, when you're telling heritage stories or stories from 2000 years ago, you need to create those environments, and they cannot be created in the sets. And even the sets were created at one point in time, and they had 6 set extensions, crowd extensions and everything. Today, we can actually do that and do a virtual production in different ways. And I think virtual production is going to be the future. And the combination of visual effects and virtual production is going to be the order.
Yeah, I have one more question to you, because that's your core area. You have been the task force member appointed by Government of India to set up the national AVGC policy. And you have also persuaded almost more than a dozen state governments to come up with the AVGC policy. So what changes can students expect in the future to make careers in these sectors more accessible in terms of AVGC policy, its impact on the, say for example, National Center of Excellence? So what is the takeaway for the students?
I think what the policies are doing is to educate the state governments and the center government education ecosystem, because historically, if you see, when India got independence, they wanted to be industrial nation. We were a socialist country, and we put English at the top, and followed by mathematics, chemistry, botany, zoology, history, geography, civics, economics as top 10 subjects. And even if it was arts, it was about literature, it was about economics and philosophy and psychology. It stopped there. And we never gave marks for creative arts, performing arts, design, and sports. And national education policy as the equalizer for our industry, because that's the time we got some weightage for having marks in the curriculum, in the schools, and also higher education, waking up to the fact that creative and design careers can also become big, and they can be parallel to engineering, medical, or chartered accountancy and law. So we were not having a level playing field till recent past. And I think that's where the policy is helping us to actually make sure that we change the curriculums in the schools. We allow kids to look at creative arts, performing arts, and design and sports at par with maths and science and commerce. And you create a level playing field for them to make a decision for their career, and not do engineering and then become an artist, or not do medical and then come and join the studios. And that's been an order in the past, but the issue is that they should be allowed to do the creative path or a design path or a sports path for their career from the school itself. It will take about 5-6 more years as the implementation is happening. Train the teacher program is happening, and many people, also looked at the fact that UGC had a diktat that if you have higher education, the faculty of undergrads needs to be master's degree holders, and the faculty who are teaching masters should be PhDs. We had none in our space, neither in design nor in sports, nor in creative arts and performing arts. At least Kerala had Kalamandalam, Mandapam, and many other very progressive universities who recognized, intake in the university at the age of 14, 15, when the 8th standard kids used to come there and actually learn the form of art. This was not possible earlier. Now that it's possible, I think students should expect that they actually can take this at their will, and they should practice that. My only warning to students is how much ever technology would, force you, like AI right now, and many other technologies, many softwares, don't get, over obsessive about the technology. Please make sure when you're a student, you are actually doing your foundation programs right. You know what is ideation to script to screen, create things by hand. Make sure when you are in animation and visual effects, you draw, you take photographs, you do acting, you do whole lot of things. Don't let machine rule over you, because by learning Photoshop, you can never become a painter. If you are a painter, you can use Photoshop more effectively. So don't run after the softwares. Softwares will change every 6 months to 9 months. But your foundation of storytelling, a foundation of creating films, the grammar of animation is going to live with you forever. And I think concentrate on that when you're a student. Use technology to give the best output. So make sure that you're using technology as a tool, not as the principle or a foundation.
Okay, thank you, Ashish ji. So world is looking at India for the AVGC content development. So my question is a continuation of what Ashish ji stopped, where Ashish ji stopped. So my question is to JK. What advice would you give to students or aspiring animators to ensure that their work meets international standards? Because we are all talking about going globally or getting work from international studios or creating our own products which with international standards. That's next phase for Indian industry. So how can they meet the international standards? What preparation they should do?
I think, two absolutes in our business. I think Manvendra mentioned this earlier. It is quality and on-time delivery. These are two absolutes in our business. So, students basically needed to learn the basics, and they also need to acquire a certain amount of speed, right, to reach there. I would say, I normally tell my students that, you need to acquire a PhD. The PhD here is passion, hunger, and discipline, right? It's not the conventional PhD. You need to have, the guys basically come with a passion. Our industry is total of passionate people. But if they can combine that with hunger and discipline, then you will be able to reach there. So that, I think, is an important thing. And another thing is that Ashish ji mentioned. So, animation is an art form which is a very fine balance of artistry and technology, right? Very, very fine balance. Two are very interlinked. It is like a symphony orchestra. If the instrument is the technology, the music you create is artistry. If your instrument is wrong, you will not get the right music. And if the person who is playing is also not good, whatever good instrument you get, you are not going to get the best music. So so important that you need to balance. But fundamentally, when you really watch a film, nobody is going to comment, oh, that scene is very good, right? I mean, only technical people probably will tell that. People will remember the scene because whether you will be able to emote, you will be able to really make others feel the emotion you are creating there. And that is all about storytelling. And that, you will not be able to achieve technology. Several years back, Flash was the cutting edge technology at that particular point in time. Today it is a museum piece, isn't it? So the technology will change, but your fundamentals are very strong. The fundamentals of, the weight, the pacing, the acting and all that. It is the same from Walt Disney's time. I don't think it changed at all. It's the same. What is changed is the methodology. When we really started the studio, we were doing hand-drawn. Almost 35,000 drawings for a half an hour of animation was doing. Everything which was hand-drawn. And probably at the end, it is, kind of put it into computer and paint. Today that is all gone now into CGI and then now AI coming in and all that basically cut short all the time. But your fundamentals are your fundamentals. And so, my suggestion is, basically you make sure that, because no amount of technology can save you from lack of fundamentals. So you concentrate on that and you learn from the best. I think, if you really wanted to learn storytelling, go and watch Pixar and Disney movies. These movies will give you how to do the storytelling. You really wanted to learn about, how to build a beautiful world and stories, watch Studio Ghibli films. You wanted to learn about, stop motion, please go and watch the films produced by Artman Animation. You wanted to learn more about the unique art style, go and watch French, classic animation, kind of thing. So I think for each and every sector, there is already, mastery created already. And when you really learn all these kind of things, depending upon what you really wanted to, excel, you will get it. And then another thing would be probably networking. You are as good as the people who surrounded, to you. So you really wanted to excel and you really wanted to not only match the international standards, but to set the standard. That is what you should all aim for. You don't want to match the standard. You guys wanted to set the standard. Like James Cameron, right? Whatever he created, he set the standard. Then everybody wanted to follow him. If you really wanted to do that, then you also needed to be in that league. So you basically make sure that, and today it is very easy. In our days, there was no social media, there was nothing. It was very hard. Today you can go to LinkedIn and connect with anybody you want to have. Connect with them, learn from the masters, watch these movies, get into film appreciation classes. And and also as I first mentioned, believe in the, in very disciplined way, put, kind of lot of focus on the passion, hunger and discipline. I have no doubt that all of you will reach to the level of excellence.
Recently, I read somewhere like government of UAE is offering visas, free visas for content creators, game developers. If that is true, the world is looking at talent. No, is that true? I heard, I read somewhere that government of UAE is offering visas, around 10,000 visas for content developers and gamers. Anyway, I don't know whether it's true, but I read in some newspaper or in some blog. So going to international gaming market, technologies like cloud gaming, generative AI are transforming the game development. So how the students or the aspiring game developers should be prepared to compete internationally? That's the question.
Preparing yourself for international audience is, I think, a starting point. And to do that, in my mind, there are two things. I mentioned one of them before, is first of all, understanding and of being aware of what is that benchmark of quality which is expected. That's number one. And number two, which is something which is more from the side of the people who create or give training, is being aware of who is creating that program or training program which has what it takes to reach the top. Because video games is one industry where it's a I would say a culmination, not a culmination, but it's a collection of so many different types of skills, which are as diverse as you can get, starting from concept skills, your 2D skills, then you have animations, 3D animation skills, you have arts, creating 3D art, 2D art skills, then you have game design skill, which is design. You have technology, engineering is a big component of video games. You have testing, I mean, there's so many skills involved in this. Now, the question is, yes, you have a lot of new technologies coming in. The technologies will never help you reach the top. Technologies are there only as tools that you can use to reach the top. First of all, you need to understand where is it that you have to be. That, to my mind, is something, becoming aware of that is a starting point. Yes, technologies have come in, and they have been coming in right from like 40 years. Calculators came in, computers came in, internet came in, then AI has now come in, cloud computing is coming in, everything is coming in. But that is not helping you become better. It's helping you become more effective and efficient. What you need to become better at is first you need to understand that. So, as a gamer or a game developer, I need to first of all understand what is my passion for. Because what I understand, if I'm my passion, if just because I love playing games doesn't necessarily I can do everything that it takes to make a game. I can be a designer, I can be an artist, I can be an animator, I can be a programmer, I can be a tester. What do I want to do? First, that's the first step. Then you can get to in your area that you decide, okay, this is what I really want to be good at. Then I start looking at the technologies which you can make use of. Yes, technologies will create shortcuts to reach a certain level of quality and expectations. But then, like Jayakumar said, passion is something which will really take you to the top. Everything else will just act as will be support actors and actresses. They just act at that. Now, if you really want to get to the top, and if somebody comes and asks me, I really want to excel at or be the best game developer in the world, the first and most important thing is start playing games. Because unless and until you don't play games, you will not know what is it that is fun. What is it that excites people who play games? So that's why every time when technology comes in and people start talking about, okay, with these new technologies, now how will we get better and bigger? All that, to my mind, is not that, yes, it is relevant, but not that relevant. What is relevant is, I enjoy playing games, I play games, so I understand games, I understand fun, I understand what is it that is exciting, how to create that excitement. All this is what will make you a good game developer, and that is something you have to focus on. And then obviously, we also have to make sure you focus on understanding the expectations of what your audience is. That's sometimes where we really go wrong. And this is something, just remember, anybody who wants to get into a gaming industry, don't make games which you like to play. Right? You have to understand what is it that your general audience likes to play. What is it that they are interested in? I can make a game which I am so interested in, I love playing, but everybody else may not want to play that game. And you definitely can't be a successful game developer. So broadening your horizon about what are the different types of games, broadening your horizon about what are the different things people like when they play games, that is important rather than making games which you like playing. And all these, so in all the things which I'm talking about, technology and new technologies are playing a very, very small role. There's so much else which one needs to be aware of, good at, try and understand to be a good game player.
Yeah, while discussing gaming, I want to add one recent development. We have an organization called Society for AVGC Institutes in Kerala, SICE, which was formed 5 years back. Jack is the president. We have Sharat Secretary also here. So we conducted a global game jam. As part of the global game jam, we had a thing. So I walked in to support them. So it was a 48 hours continuous program where students from various colleges nearby Cochin were staying there, sleeping in the beanbags over there, super excited, and in 48 hours they were developing the games as per the theme given by the global.
To add to that, right now as we speak, I think just yesterday has got over, we have a global game jam happening at our Bangalore studio.
Great.
And there were 144 teams. 144 teams. So that just shows that people are, and again, same thing, 48 hours and you make a game. And they were sleeping there, they were eating there, and all they were focusing on is making a game. And when we started, we were like last year, we said, last year we had done it in Bangalore, and we had about 78 teams. We were expecting 80, 90 teams here. We got 144 teams. We didn't know what to do with them. So it became a problem. It just shows that how popular game development is getting.
Okay. So, Ashish ji, one last question. Like, we were super excited to Prime Minister's speech on August 15th. It's long waiting for decades. You're waiting to listen some senior leader to talk about industry. So he's talking about industry, and uske baad, Man Ki Baat maybe he was talking about animation
Two
industry.
consecutive one Ki Baat.
Yeah, consecutive. So that is super exciting. A lot of energy for us as industry leaders. Um, can you give enlighten us on the National Center of Excellence and also what government of Kerala, because you were in the forefront of Kerala policy, just speak a small idea about what the AVGC policy of Kerala offers.
Well, yeah, AVGC policy of Kerala is a very progressive policy, and we actually are going to create a whole lot of foundation for AVGC-XR professionals in the state. When I say right from the north to the south of Kerala, we have 11 different small centers which are going to come up with different specialities, and of course there's going to be a center of excellence and emerging technologies hub also. We're going to have some role play there. The issue is uh, what it does is actually it's of course an extension of an IT policy because we are a part of ITES. Uh, the the reason why we look at this is we are influencing the school curriculum. We are also asking uh, uh, the the Kerala Technical Institute and everybody to incorporate these programs and make sure that we actually are a part of uh, the education ecosystem and the skilling ecosystem on one side. The second side, we make it a very attractive place for people to come and set up their studios here and look at, a large amount of artists that we meet. They're doing extremely good work on Kerala mural art and all these kind of I'm trying to give you an example. Now we are actually extending that into the comics, and then that art form will go as an animation art form as well. So the traditional art forms can be contemporarized, and the storytelling can be used into the modern, way, and that's precisely what the Kerala policy is going to do. Is going to have an outreach program for studios from Kerala and the professionals, and we are also creating few, uh, you know, like Toonz for last 24 years have done Week with the Masters and Animation Masters Summit, which is going to be having 25th edition coming up in March first week, along with Animela, which is a tie-up with the world's biggest animation festival called NSC, happening in Trivandrum, and then we'll have a gaming and XR events happening in Cochin. So I think it's an activity for the next 5 years to build this industry in Kerala as far as the policy is concerned. At the national level, in 2005, I had written a white paper that India requires an IIT IM kind of a new age institute for animation, gaming, visual effects, and comics. That time XR was not there. XR we added in 2017. And it took us 20 years to persuade the government. Right now, government has agreed to do a National Center of Excellence in Mumbai. We just got 10 acres of land, and luckily all three of us are on, the founding team of the institute is going to be called Indian Institute of Creative Technologies. On 25th of December, we registered the Section 8 company, and we are starting at 35,000 square feet in NFDC in Mumbai by the time the new building and all come up. So we are going to have a very futuristic institute coming up there on lines of IIT and IM. And that's being said, we are also coming up with the Create in India mission, which also is going to be announced very soon, which is going to lay a big foundation for AVGC-XR across India, along with a whole lot of incentive programs. And co-production is one of the key aspects that prevails into animation particularly. And that's what we are going to extend with about 16 countries. Government of India has signed a co-production treaty. So there's a co-production fund coming for that. We recently started Waves OTT platform. It's a public OTT platform. So that is another initiative. We are also looking at a dedicated kids animation channel starting with a public broadcaster. At the same time, what we are looking at is a Waves conference that Prime Minister talked about recently. Uh, that is going to be the world's biggest media and entertainment, you know, conference, and that is going to be happening on year, and it's going to create a hub in India whereby we anticipate 400 plus buyers of content coming into India with this whole initiative, so that the Indian producers and the content creators can interact with them, can do a co-production, and also take a distribution plug, and the game development side can take publishing to the next level. At the same time, in parallel to that, the media and entertainment technology development, there's a special focus on this. So the whole issue is looked at with the fact that today, anything and everything you want to do, you go to your mobile phone and you search for content. And we should be present with our content with Indian sensibilities, Indian knowledge system, Indian heritage. And we have to be a part of that world ecosystem of content creation and the content world, digital content economy that is evolving. And I think keeping that as a focus, India is there to take the best steps. And Honorable Prime Minister actually, you know, for a long period of time we had been briefing them, but we find right now our stars are aligned, and we are getting things the way it should have been manifested long time ago. It's getting manifested now. So I think it's a great time for AVGC-XR.
You can ask them directly. Ashish is the Bible of AVGC, so you can ask anything on AVGC to him. Any questions?
They are all very hungry right
They are all very hungry. Hungry in terms of what JK said. Any questions or feeling really hungry? So today, as a person from Kerala, what I would like to add, because we always talk about jobs, but now you can also become an employer or job creator. We have already a dedicated space provided by InfoPark, which is next to this compound, a special place for AVGC. And just like you have an IT product idea or ITS product idea, you can now go to Kerala Startup Mission, you can pitch your idea, whether it's in AVGC, and you can also get all the facilities what an IT company gets. And the dedicated space is given at a very, very subsidized rate than anywhere else. And thanks to InfoPark CEO, he even hosted a diner meet at India Games event at Hyderabad, inviting VCs from across the globe, Indian investors also, to get investments for our startups. So whatever painful or struggle they had 20 or 25 years back, today you can set up a company much easier. Not only that, our agencies are also helping us to showcase these works nationally as well as globally. So you have to pitch, you can go along with the Startup Mission delegation globally for such events. We are planning those things also. So it's all good time for content creators, AVGC, professionals. Make use of it. The future seems very bright. Thank you for my fellow panelists.
So before we end, I would like to thank Vishal Jain, Sir Tom and Varunan and the whole team at Jain University to have set up such a futuristic conference for 7 days. I think great lineup, and I think students have best of the time. I wish I was a student at this point in time. I mean to say I'm still a student, but if I was doing a course, I would have been benefited a lot. But big congratulations to all of you, and I think it's happening in Cochin is the biggest place for creativity. So thank you so much for inviting us to.
Sound check? Yes, thank you. As he rightly mentioned, we have 3 pioneers on stage and we would like to present them. Yeah, I was just borrowing his words. And we'd like to bring on stage our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor J. Lata, to present mementos to all 4 of them. All 4 of them pioneers, icons in this industry. And we are so glad they are here together to share their perspectives to our students. Mr. Ashish Kulkarni, founder of Punnaryug Artvision. Mr. P. Jayakumar, Chief Executive Officer of Toonz Media Group. Mr. Manvendra Shukul, founder and CEO of Lakshya Digital. And our brilliant moderator who brought out all those perspectives, Mr. Philip Thomas, country head of World Design Council, UK. It's quite clear how an entire ecosystem is coming up in all its glory for all of you to do your magic. So let's go in there and make the best use of it.